There you go.
Hey, everybody. We are back. Just the two of us today, but we're here to have a conversation. I think this one's going to go in some interesting directions. Our title topic is pay transparency and trust. I want to put a capital T on the trust for most of the stuff we're talking about today. And just how to close the confidence gap in every single role in your team if you want a really lofty goal. When it comes down to it, pay transparency and trust has a lot to do with taking your compensation and making sure everybody understands that there are standards, there are practices, there are roles, they are kind of baselines, and then there's potentially rewards on top of that. If you aren't clear about that stuff, then you leave it to them to figure out. At the bar, after work, in the lunchroom, all these places where I don't think your operations, your management, and your HR should be taken care of. So if people are only talking about what they know about their little silo, you get confusion. If they're comparing each other and themselves, you get resentment. All that stuff starts to spiral into distrust. If you don't know what you're earning or why, your loyalty is going to drop and performance goes with it. So today we're talking about processes to make things transparent, fair, and motivating, and how to put in pay structures that build confidence and keep your team actually engaged. There are dangers and secrets. It's fair play to communicate pay plans clearly. You need to align composition with trust and culture, not with just carrot stuff, because carrots always come with sticks. And then how to put a career path of visibility in there. Here's how you can move forward, move up, which again, we've talked about many times, isn't always about remuneration. And so, yeah, that's kind of the stuff that we're here to circle around and dig into. Where would you like to start? This is a big one.
I don't know, when we do marketing, right? What do we talk about? We talk about pain before we talk about solutions, right? So maybe we spend a minute on what not to do and what I've seen go terribly, catastrophically wrong. Maybe we start there.
And honestly, I start one step further, which is what's the situation, and then where's the pain within it.
Right.
So maybe you want to start with some of that, some situations that you've seen, and then like why this was painful, how it was painful, who was feeling that pain. That might be really helpful for some people to start unpacking as we go along.
Yeah, this one, the pain's pretty evident. And the base philosophy that's misaligned relative to our topic today will be very plainly evident as well. So if you have a sales organization and the commissions of the salespeople are passed on to the sales manager if and when the salesperson terminates for any reason, what do you think the impact of that would be on the retention / turnover of sales reps in the business? Would leaders be incentivized to keep them and let them take the commission, or let them go after, say 33 days after they've done all the hard work?
And my wage grows when I get them fired. I guess I'll be a pain.
Right. So you end up with a company that has not quite 100% annualized turnover.
Right.
Scratching their head, wondering why they can't scale. And their base pay philosophy for compensation of their sales force is what lies at the heart of that turnover. Because people do the hard work for the first 33 days. They get a bunch of leads. They close a few accounts. They have others that are ready to close. And then the leader says, thank you very much. You no longer work here.
That's the empty desk scaling plan.
Right.
Yeah, that's painful.
Right. So you try and talk to them about how you can't scale turnover. And they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And you say, or I do. And this $51 million a year total cost of turnover could be on your bottom line, right? Do you not like money? I think we're all in business to make money. Turnover is expensive. So maybe if we change the base pay philosophy and do not provide a financial incentive to termination, maybe we get some more retention. Maybe we get leaders who are more accountable for performing as leaders. And that drives performance and retention. And then we can have pay transparency and fairness, right? Like when you get the pay philosophy wrong in sales, you get all kind of bad outcomes that unfortunately limit your business. Their growth, the profitability, all the outcomes, the big stuff and the little stuff. It just so fundamental.
Speaking of those exact same formulas, we see this same thing all the time where churn is not accounted for, counted, measured, or even considered as important in the sales process. Right? People don't measure the lead cost against customer loss often enough or ever, if you want to be mean about it in some cases. And that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. So yeah, the same stuff works on both sides as usual, right? We cover this a lot.
As usual, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I've seen is when companies too frequently change their pay method for their sales force, like every 6 months they're changing the commission structure and they're monkeying with it that often. That creates so much uncertainty. It erodes so much trust. It takes a while to just digest and figure out and process and understand, right? But that whole time when you keep unsettling the sales force, they feel like they're being cheated. And then they're trying to figure out if they are really being cheated, right? They don't know, right? It's not so obvious. There is not trust there. So I would say don't change your sales comp structure every 6 months or consistently all the time. And then the other thing is, why would you cap it?
Right.
Like, what do you pay your salespeople to do? Hunt. Do you want them to ever feel like there's no game out there to hunt? No, you want aggressive hunter salespeople. So how hungry are they? Let them eat, right? I wrote a job description for our sales rep the other day. Flat commission, no base, no cap. You want to make 200K this year? You got to do to get it, right? Just go get it.
Yeah.
You close $1 million sale, you get that commission. There is no cap, right? Like, just go. How hungry are you? Go hunt. So, yeah, the transparency, simplicity, not gamifying it, not eroding the trust, right? You just
having a secret scaling point system that makes you feel like you're in a network marketing company.
Right?
Yeah.
The first $1 million of sales, you'll earn this commission. On the second 5 million to that, you'll earn this commission. If this, then that. And if that, then this. And it's maddening for the sales force.
Well, people want to go to work and have something consistent and reliable and safe and not feel like they're playing the cup and ball game and trying to guess where it's going to be next, right? And yeah, that's huge.
Simple is your friend, transparent's your friend, base philosophy, not incentivizing the wrong behaviors, is your friend, right? Like best practices here, trying to game your sales force out of money only ends up with you having a mediocre sales force.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I was working with a client recently, and I think we produced something that was a little bit of a revelatory moment for them as well. And it was account managers, in my opinion, should actually come from sales and move through the funnel into their role, because they know what's being sold, how it's being sold, who it's being sold to.
sure.
They're just the people that care a little bit more about how useful it is. Right. And those personalities exist, right? You'll find them in a sales seat because they're like, consultative sellers, technically interested, pair really well with those kind of buyers.
Mhm.
But my opinion is that you should source your account managers from that. And a lot of situations I've walked into, it's like they pull them up from HR or something, because it's like, you're good at talking to people, right? Versus, hey, I know how it works. Let's make sure it's working for you. And I get it, just kind of struck me. It's a little bit of a crude analogy. I didn't use it during the conversation with the client, but it's like, it's that thing. Like, do you want a mechanic or a therapist to change your tire? Like which one knows how to work the wrench and plug the leak?
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's another thing as well. And when you're living on either side of that stuff, you already know what they're doing over there, what they're making, and those sorts of things. And you're hamstringing yourself if you have to keep what each role does and how they're compensated secret. Right? Because it's just like, we can't move them from here to there, because then they'll find out what's going on over there. And we don't, and all that stuff that's, nasty that you're kind of talking about earlier. So you can get the best out of your people with that transparency.
Right. It gives them the empowerment and the visibility to choose their path, grow with the company.
Yeah.
That's the base philosophy, right? And it could be a range.
Yeah.
Or when we stack sales jobs, right?
Mhm.
First sales position X, base, and Y variable, right?
Mhm.
Second job, less base, more variable.
Mhm.
Level 3 job, almost no or no base, boatloads of variable,
Right.
right? Because you shouldn't need, if you're in the level 3 sales job, you shouldn't need the net when you're on the trapeze,
Right.
right? You've proven it. You've been promoted twice. And actually, I'm going to expect you to coach and develop some more junior people when you're in that role. So I got to pay you a higher commission percentage because you're going to close a little bit less sales, and I still want you to end up ahead.
Right.
Right? So I'm going to
Right.
commission you on 80% of your labor, because 20% of your labor is spent doing onboarding and coaching and development.
Yeah. Contributing to the rest of the team, therefore impacting the whole organization.
Right.
And then the tail end of the tangent I was on also is, I do find, I believe it and I've seen it, that you can go to a place where I used to make more money here, but now that I'm here, I'm much happier doing what I'm doing. And I'm totally okay with the fact that my wage has changed, because I'd rather come in here than drag myself in there every day.
Oh, so having a good, positive, safe work culture is actually financially beneficial. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is what I'm saying. And we have the math to prove it.
We have the math to prove it. That's right.
Yeah.
Toxic work cultures with excessive burnout and high turnover, where people don't have psychological safety, where the sales force is constantly worried that they're going to get reorganized tomorrow, right? That's not a recipe for engagement and productivity.
And if you're a smaller organization and people can't move laterally, then you always have to go outside for new talent, which, I mean, there must be a formula for the turnover in that. And I don't know what the number is, but I bet it's expensive.
Yeah, the generic number we always go with is 213%,
Right.
right? And that's hard to do in sales because you don't have a fixed salary, but you could do of a typical year two successful performer, right?
Right.
What's their total comp?
Right.
It's not hard to get to. Make one base assumption and do your math.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, why do people get this wrong so often?
I think some of it has to do with just like intergenerational habits and practices. There's definitely the stuff that I kind of remember growing up with, but also know that like my parents, our parents, like they grew up with, which was work for pay. And, not that that isn't what a job is, but it was kind of clear that if you want more pay, you work more. It's a very simple lever.
Yeah.
And then things started getting siloed a little bit more complex and verticalized. And then the complexity of the role sometimes was rewarded, sometimes not. And then the thought or idea of the value of the role was sometimes rewarded and sometimes not.
Right.
Right. And like we're getting a little bit into Wolf of Wall Street territory and stuff here as well, right? Because it's not how much value you're providing, it's how much perceived value you can convince. Right. And how, if that's related to your wage earning, well, it can go a number of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Incentives drive behavior, both intended and unintended.
Yeah.
Right. So put the wrong incentives in place. Hey, we're going to pay you for more new accounts.
Right.
And what do you get? More new accounts.
Right.
And then what do you get? Yourself in the news. Right.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's one of those things. And again, like I want to pause for a moment because just in case people think sales org is like this one narrow vertical and it's just the salesperson, we want to keep stretching it
Right.
from lead to conversion to sale into onboarding.
Right.
And even fulfillment, because that's where upselling, cross-selling, and all the other selling happens. So it's actually covering the entire customer journey here. And if you aren't thinking about your sales organization, especially happening after they pay you, selling still happens, then you're missing out on a ton of stuff. Anything on that side is called lifetime value, and that's where the money's made in a business. And I just think a lot of the stuff that I've kind of entered into sometimes is operationally like horribly short-sighted in terms of even what they think sales is.
And let's keep pulling on that thread and talk about all that a business sells, right? So there's like
Right.
what I would call the primary product or service, right? The things ops produces, the widget,
Right.
deliverable, whatever. That's call that the primary channel. What goes into your cost of goods sold, right? Like that, those things, right? And every single employee is selling your brand out in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So when we get to things like referral fees, those are essentially sales commissions.
Absolutely.
And that's the other place that businesses do not think of it correctly, and they do not pay it correctly. They're like, "Oh, we pay $1,000 for a referral."
Right.
Is that what it's worth? What is the recruiting cost that they offset for you?
Right.
What is the lift in their engagement and productivity if you paid them the proper kind of commission for that.
Right.
You're going to pay a 25% to a sourcing agent or more, depending on the position.
Yeah.
So you're going to pocket 24 and you're going to give them 1?
Right.
Hmm. Hmm. And
Yeah.
you don't know why your time to hire is 120 days?
Exactly.
You haven't empowered your other sales army to go out and recruit for you. You wouldn't have a sourcing problem if you paid for referrals.
Absolutely. And, back to that brand ambassador thing that you were touching on for a minute. Zach isn't here to bring it up, but it really does. One of the places I think everyone should go to study revenue architecture and that kind of stuff is Disney. Right? If you understand how, and again, I'm making this stuff up. It's arbitrary, but it's a good enough example. They moved from the price per ride to a gate fee.
Yep.
Right. And somewhere operation, they figured out how to get the gate fee to more or less pay to run the rides and staff the place.
Right.
Right. And, food and beverage, like each one of those is his own little microcosm. They have to figure that out. We're going to leave that out of this.
Yep.
But then after they got that thing up and running, they did revenue architecture and like, okay, and now this much more to skip the line. Profit margin. Right? This much more to get the guy. Profit margin. This much more to the back end secret club. Profit margin. This
Right.
much more to own a condo on the edge of the property. Profit margin. Like every single one of these things is so intelligently placed.
Yep.
And everybody's just so happy to be a part of the brand and the experience.
Huh.
They don't feel nickel and dimed. And, there's like however many 10 doors that you can get a condo in the resort, and the people who are there are happy they paid 5 times as much as the condo 10 miles away, because they're there to be a part of the thing. There's that same loyalty that you're getting.
Yep.
And again, people are happy to push their money at them for that. And this is the kind of stuff where lifetime value is created. And every single one of those people is a part of your sales organization. Every single one of them. And that's a company that understands it because they have those crazy rules about the happiness of their patrons.
Right.
Right? Nobody's ever like, oh, your ice cream fell. How much did you spend? Now we'll talk. Right? Every customer has the same baseline value there, which is your happiness.
Right.
So yeah, I just think it's a great example of how well this stuff can be done. And obviously all those employees are getting paid, different wages, but they're in a role, they're happy to be doing it, and they want to be where they're at.
When we teach this we're kind of walking in the direction of customer service, right? Which is, call it like the afterthought of the sales organization, but it is really the point where you either create an advocate or you lose the customer in many businesses, right?
Yeah, it's the inside sales. Absolutely.
It's a functional inside sales component. And even if you don't call it that, right? Even if you call it service or product support or whatever.
Right.
It's their incentives, and it's also their empowerment and their education and engineered concessions, right? So they have to be empowered to know what they can give away,
Right.
to whom, when, how, what the lines are, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
when they're faced with a complaint or an angry customer or the dropped ice cream,
Yeah.
if they don't know what they can do, they can't do anything.
Right. You can't expect them to go, hold on a second, let me get another one for you.
Right.
right? Because they haven't been given that, well, autonomy, basically.
Right. And you can do that with guardrails in any business, right?
You
Know
know,
what the margin is, right? We used to give away free overnight shipping
right.
when orders were wrong. No problem. Why could we do that? Because a company has a discounted shipping agreement with carriers because of how much they ship. It's different than an individual shipping overnight.
Yeah.
So the cost basis on me shipping something out of that business overnight was like $3, $4, as long as it was continental United States. It
Right.
was no big deal.
And I did waitering and bartending to, be part of like what put me through school. And I
Right.
learned that inside of that environment because there was a floor manager for each section and then like the GM of that shift. And we never, ever, ever, ever addressed or dealt with complaints. Because the second there was one, right? Any of the wait staff, a busser, it doesn't matter. Everybody was empowered with the exact same thing.
Right.
If a customer turned and said anything problematic, they're like, well, let me get a manager for you.
Right.
And everyone already knew that the fact that that manager was walking towards that table, that person's beverage was already covered.
Done. Right.
Escalated immediately to their plate and then went lateral at the manager's discretion for the rest of the people's food and beverage.
Right.
And it was always them that figured it out, right? None of us. The only thing we had to react is let me get that solved for you.
Right.
And the loyalty of this place, I didn't work in a lot of bars or restaurants in my life, but I've never seen people spend New Year's Eve lined up in the foyer waiting for a table.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just remarkable how much trust there was in that space because, no matter what your problem was, it was solved.
I did some time in high school at Dunkin' Donuts. You don't get much more higher margin than a donut,
Right.
right? Like 3 to 10 cents each cost.
Right.
Sell them for $1.
Right.
So you don't get much more higher margin than that. So any problem, I just took it from them, threw it out, and asked them what they wanted instead.
Right.
And it didn't matter if it was a regular donut or a fancy one. Even the fancy ones are like a quarter, right?
Right.
How much is their happiness worth? Absolutely a quarter. So if they get an upgrade because we made a mistake and then they feel like they were treated fairly or got one over on us, I really don't care.
Yes.
They have a favorable impression of this business for a quarter. That is worth more than a quarter. Done.
It's the place that cares. And especially since, you've got a $2 selling point on an 11-cent cup of coffee to go with it.
Right.
Things are going to be okay.
Right. There's enough margin to buy a little bit of happiness.
Absolutely.
Pizza business, same thing.
Yes.
Pizza's not expensive to make.
Yeah.
So know where your margin is, what you can give away. Sometimes it's free shipping. Sometimes it's a drink, right? In fast food, the most expensive part of the drink is the cup.
Yes.
Right? So that's a nickel or a dime, depending on which cup it's in.
Yeah.
Like if anything's wrong with it, replace it.
100%.
Do not argue over a nickel.
Yeah.
So it's just wild. It's wild. The margin in fast food, it's weird. It's in the drink and it's in the fries in those businesses. It's not in the main course.
Right.
It's sometimes even a lost leader.
Absolutely.
So what can you give away? You could give away drinks and fries.
All day long.
All stinking day long.
Which means to get back onto some of the internal stuff, you can give it to your staff.
Yes.
Right? Like there's more compensation that you can give other than just money because you know your margins,
That's right.
right? And again, that's another way of showing people that they're appreciated, and you can still be transparent with the cost.
Right. Now, don't do that if you don't know your cost basis, because
Very true.
your staff could eat you out of house and home if you do not put up the right guardrails,
Yes.
right? If everyone is ordering steak and lobster tail because that's the most expensive thing on the menu, and all of a sudden your food cost is through the roof and your P&L looks awful, well, you missed a guardrail when you were saying employees eat free, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Very well said.
Do it thoughtfully and intentionally, but don't be petty in the other direction.
Mhm.
Oh, employees can have all the water they want to drink.
That's right.
Mm,
But you pay for the cup.
but you right. Right. Oh, that's awful.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Things
fantastic.
you make are generally cheaper to give away to your population. Things that are
Yeah.
packaged are generally more expensive to give away to your population.
Absolutely.
So soda out of a fountain versus soda in a can.
Yes.
The cost is in the can,
Yeah.
right? And the shipping, right? So cheap out of the fountain, we're not cracking cans and bottles, right?
Yeah.
You can have everything you want out of the fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't get petty about the cup. We have rules like no cups on the production line, right? We're not eating and drinking where we're making food for our customer. There's like food sanitation laws, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like back to the compensation packages, just to use your like fast food as an example. Like there's a line in a shift where it's probably fine to comp their meal,
Right.
right? Like, you know, maybe like if they're only there for 4 hours, you give them a break. But if they've been there for 8, right, you give them a thank you.
Right.
And then as the manager on duty, if you've got somebody who's covering you and pulling a double shift to save the day because things happen,
Oh, yeah.
all sorts of opportunity.
And quite frankly, there's an extent to which that can decrease, not eliminate, but indeed decrease the amount of food that leaves via the back door at night.
Right. Right.
When people
Exactly.
feel they are treated fairly, respected, and enjoy working there, and there's high trust, they're less likely to steal from you,
Absolutely.
right? So it's not bulletproof. People will still steal in the food industry, right? They do it in
Yeah.
retail. We call it shrinkage, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a metric, but you can hedge against that and get greater engagement, productivity, happiness, a positive work culture, and customer experience, right? You
Right.
get all these outcomes if you do this stuff correctly.
And if people are doing their jobs well, then they feel like they deserve to be rewarded. And to your point, if you don't, some will reward themselves anyway. So it's back to the transparency thing, right? I come up with a way of doing it openly so that they don't feel like they have to do what's justified, right? Under the cover of darkness or sneaking around.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It needs to be okay for them to come to me and say, I screwed up,
Yes.
and this is a teachable moment. And what is
Yes.
the expectation? And what do you think your accountability or punishment should be? Right? Like
Absolutely.
they will generally be harder on themselves. If you hired well, they will be harder on themselves when put in a position of accountability, and then they'll own it.
Yeah.
So there's leadership lessons here, right? It's more than comp. Comp is just part of total compensation, which includes culture and how you're treated and how you're led, right?
Absolutely.
Fringe benefits. People will take less money to work in a place where there's high trust and they feel like they're on a team and they're respected and treated well. I was talking the other day with a fellow HR person. We were talking about turnover in the restaurant industry. And like normal is 140% annualized.
Wow.
Right? So so the best among them get it down to 80%.
Wow.
And you're like, "Oh, that's still a lot." But the P&L,
Right.
right? The guide you run to is built around 140. So if you run an 80,
You're
what's your
winning.
P&L going to look like?
Yeah.
You're a rock star, right? Your bottom line will be amazing.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And, you know, at that point, you may be able to afford like meal with shift.
Oh, so it all goes together? Oh,
Yes.
huh. How about
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Right.
It's a system. If you do this well,
It really is.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Anything else you want to add or kind of layer in there to just sort of bring it home?
I think the other thing that happened very recently to a friend of mine who is actually a sales director in a
Okay.
business, right? So there are 3 sales directors in the business, and they divided the United States into 3 regions.
Okay.
Company wants to save money. They eliminated his colleague and went down to 2 sales directors
Okay.
and re-segmented the country into 2 and split the team. This half gets those 3 people, this half gets those 3 people, and then took the sales director's salary that they eliminated, cut it in half, and gave each team 1 more person.
Okay.
Okay? So it's taking out of the middle to put more on the front line, right?
Hmm.
The strategy is to generate more sales by thinning out the middle. Okay, got it. And I asked my friend, what does this do for your compensation?
Right.
And he said, they didn't say yet. I don't know. We'll see. Oh,
Wow.
so they increased your staff. They
Right.
changed your job appreciably. They give you like 50% more staff.
Right.
They didn't change your title. They didn't change your comp. They didn't explain to you what this is going to do, because sometimes as a sales leader, your comp can be based on the performance of your people,
Right.
right? So that they didn't convey all that when they talked about the org change. What does that leave him with? High uncertainty, less trust, right? Now we have people just literally sitting with a million questions and anxiety, even though they're
Yeah.
thankful and grateful that they weren't laid off.
Mhm.
There's a detrimental effect to the layoff that is addressable. And part of addressing that is talking about transparency and trust in your sales comp plan.
And I always question how deep the math goes in that decision-making process, even. Because there's a percentage chance, I don't want to speculate on what it is, that if you were to ask the people in charge of them, how does this change our compensation plan? The answer might be, I don't know, or we haven't thought about it, or we didn't consider it,
Right.
or we just never really assessed the impact of this change.
Right.
And that's one of those things that that's why I love the architecture and the dashboards and all that kind of stuff, because at least you can read the mistake as it cascades through the organization.
Right.
And 4 or 5 dominoes tip over because you tipped this one over. And yeah, at least there's hindsight instead of no sight. It's so much better than the,
This is to say nothing about the org design dimension,
yeah,
right? How many people can one person effectively lead if they're a working manager?
right,
If they're a working manager, you expect that person to make any direct sales calls? Any.
right,
10 is too many.
right,
10 is too many because they're not doing a simple task. They're all doing the same task, but differently because of their difference in customer geography, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right?
right.
So there's high variability in all those dimensions. They're all very unique, right? That is a full-time management position doing nothing else just to lead a team of 10 people.
And for those of you who are getting lost in this stuff, there's a very simple way to look at it. It comes a lot earlier in the campaign where you're generating the leads that you're going to sell to. But if you want to know what a change is going to affect, the only thing you can do is change a single variable. Otherwise, you have nothing to measure.
Right.
Right. And like in what you've just said, they've changed, what, 4?
Right.
So if they don't have the preliminary projection, this is why we're doing this math, then you're kind of completely screwed because you have no idea which of the 4 things is having the positive or negative impact.
Right.
You don't know what to fix. And then this is where leadership can start to hamster wheel, because then it's like, what, back to the thing. Well, let's change it the next quarter. Oh, it's not working. Let's change it the next quarter without knowing what impact the change is having.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay to do an experiment and have a hypothesis.
Yes.
Right? Let's be thoughtful, be diligent, think all the way through it, do a little contingency planning, know what our metrics are, listen for the signals, to speak more like an economist here, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the signals telling us? Oh, we made this change and employee performance dropped by 28%. Is that
Right.
short term? You need 3 data points in a row before you call it a trend, right?
Right.
There is shock, but if it comes back up after 3 months, you're okay. If it doesn't, right?
Right.
Now it's a signal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully people do better at managing their trust, transparency, and compensation around all their sales teams after our discussion today. It's not just those that wear sales titles.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's a salesperson in your organization in some way because they're shaping and representing your brand.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, let's keep them happy. Let's start there.
Awesome.
All right.
Y'all next
Thank
week.
you. Absolutely. We'll see you then.